Michael here. Hey, we're gonna answer the question of, is it cheaper to rent or buy in Raleigh? And I'm so low to the ground. So it's dark in here. Wanted to set the mood. Got my little LED in the corner. I think it's kind of cool. The rest of the lights are off. Just kind of makes the screen pop for me. A little bit easier to read things, less distractions. And believe it or not, I just recorded this entire thing and I did not have my screen shared. So it was like 15 minutes of me just talking to the camera and talking about things that were not showing. But I did put together a little itinerary here in my little notepad so I can show you what we're going to be doing. First, we're going to look at average rents and trends of rent in Raleigh. Then we're going to go look at some listings online on realtor.com because I'm not a realtor. So we're going to do the pedestrian thing and look at searches, which is what you'd be doing. Then we're going to look at 4 different random properties I pulled. 2 are actually in Raleigh and 2 are just outside of Raleigh. And then we're going to compare renting versus buying for one of the properties, the mid-range ones. And then lastly, we're going to compare monthly payments on the mortgage and taxes and insurance on some of the properties I'll show you. And I'm not showing these properties for any particular reason other than I just pulled them up. There are more expensive ones, there are cheaper ones that are teardowns, but you know, and everything in between. So step 1, trends. I just pulled this from Rent Cafe. I did see another couple websites and they all had roughly the same info, but currently the average rent for an apartment, and I checked a 2-bedroom, is $1,468. 1,000 square feet, and of course expensive ones, and there are more expensive ones. 1-bedrooms and lofts will be smaller, and 3-bedrooms and maybe larger houses will be a lot more expensive. But the average, $1,468 for the rent, and you can see the trends here. 2018, the average rent was less than $1,200. Now here we are, just over 3 years later, $1,468. So how much is that? That's like more than 20% increase in the rent prices. You can see that nationally it's the same thing. When inflation happens, rents go up, and over time rents definitely go up. So there you have it with that. I'll show you different neighborhoods and whatnot. Not really the scope of what we're going to talk about right now. Okay. You can see some other apartments and they rent for. I've never seen these places before, but that's pretty expensive. $3,000 to rent. All right. Okay, so step 2 in our little tour here, we're going to look at listings online. So here's realtor.com. I just searched Raleigh, 2 bedrooms. See a lot of stuff here, a lot of listings, a lot of new builds. They're actually building a lot of communities. They're not for sale. Some they'll release them in stages, and you'll see that, hey, they're taking reservations for lots for new builds, and people wait months and months to get their new house. So I don't know who this builder is. Epcon. You can see the different models, things like that. But what I did was I just grabbed 4 different properties just to kind of in Durham. It's pretty cool. You see the difference. So one kind of on the low end, one kind of mid-range, maybe a little bit less than average price. And then those are both on the outskirts. And then 2 condos inside of Raleigh, which are definitely more expensive because you're in the city. So first I grabbed this one. I can see I was already playing with the pictures. But this is a small house. It's a little bit bigger than the average one that they're saying is the rent. It says it, 1,000 square feet. This one you'd be owning, and it's 1,200. It's a small lot. Actually, my house in California, which is tightly packed, was a little bit bigger lot. It says townhome. Anyway, the point is, you can see what it looks like. This one's under $200,000. This is just recently on the market. Whoever painted this had some unique tastes. They like their colors. I don't know what's going on here. That's gnarly. This is the one with the big lot, but you can see a lot of green, a lot of trees. And so let's look at where it is. This property is over here, which is by Knightdale, between Knightdale and Raleigh. And I already did this before. I did this presentation to myself. I mapped it out to Raleigh. 10-minute drive. I mean, that's nothing. And then Poland Park. They have like the oldest like merry-go-round or something tree. A carousel. It's a carousel. It's an old park. Cool. When I first moved here, we rented an Airbnb for a few days because our house wasn't ready yet and we didn't have our furniture. and I took the kids here. And it's pretty cool. It's a park. There's like a merry-go-round. Definitely not this crowded right now because of COVID. The merry-go-round wasn't even on, but there is another park there. What's that picture? That's cool. Looks like an old picture. There's like a kids' playground. The train wasn't working when we came, but yeah, 1887. It's like the oldest merry-go-round, I want to say. Point is, it's close to the city. And another thing I'll point out, and this is important because you see there's a lot of land here. Look at all this green, by the way. This state park. There's all kinds of lakes. There's all kinds of parks and greenways. It's just got a really nice place to live. And I point out this location here. In these areas, it look like they're open because far away. But if you can see 440, this is that little freeway that goes around the city. And here, 540, if you can see what I'm doing, it goes around, but it doesn't finish. I live around here somewhere, and this part of the freeway doesn't even exist. It's all dirt. They're still building it. It'll take a few years, but when it's done, it's going to wrap around and really just bring everything together. So it might be a good idea to actually own property around here, because once transportation's easier to get from here to there, it could just bring up values, especially when you have companies like Google and Apple opening up campuses here and Epic Games. It's pretty cool, but it's still even that bad further out than this place. And my wife sometimes will commute downtown to go to work, and like 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, very little traffic. We used to live in Los Angeles, and just to get out of our neighborhood could take an hour sometimes. Pretty gnarly. So that's that property. It was a little bit more expensive. Not the house, this is the barn. Just the house on that picture. The front does not look like the back. Anyway, this is cool though. It's 2/3 of an acre. Look at all this land, and this is just as far from the city. Just all this trees. It's come with the property. The house isn't bad either. Anyway, this house was 270. Yeah, before. This was 270. Okay, here's the house right here. So you can see this one. I just pulled up. There's my house right there. Again, not that far from Raleigh at all. Okay, I could do a map. Let's go to Holland Park again. Ten minutes. That's it. 10 minutes right into Raleigh. That's all there. I mean, look at his houses. Lake Benson's right there, Lake Wheeler, Gates Mill. It's like an old mill you can walk around. I'm still kind of exploring the area myself. Lots of green, lots of lakes. I'm still getting my bearings. That's just pretty amazing. Okay. All right, the next property I pulled up is this. It says single family, but I'm pretty sure it's some kind of a condo. Does not show an HOA fee, but I'm going to assume there is. But it's a pretty nice place. It's also a 2-bedroom, 1,300 square feet. And this one's in Raleigh. Let's take a look. You can see some views of the city. It's very walkable. I've never been there. I heard of this place. That's the sushi place. But let's look at the map. It's right here. It's in Raleigh. You can walk to the park. One of the parks, this is Cameron Park. This is right by University, North Carolina State Farmers Market, which is pretty big. You can't walk there from there, but there's a whole lot of stuff that's in walking distance. A lot of good food here. The Mushrooms, really good pizza place. There's a Krispy Kreme, Tupelo Honey Cafe. It's like a fried chicken. It's a nice restaurant, fried chicken and waffles, and they have brunch and dinner. Chocolate place here. There's this vegan restaurant, kids museums. There's all kinds of breweries. Like there's one right there, and all gonna show up here. CT Lebanese restaurants. It's amazing. What else we got? Out of culture, there's the Dukes and the Performing Arts Center. There's Lincoln Theater. There's museums. There's, that's why I pulled up the other one before. I closed it. Where is it? I don't know, the aquatics. I think it's a big pool area. Oh yeah, it's like a big indoor pool. Natural History Museum. Natural Science Museum. I don't even know what else, to be honest. There's so much here, and you can't even see it on this map. It's just only showing you a few places. You gotta really zoom in to see everything. Very walkable. A lot of good stuff here. A lot of parks. The city. Now, coming from Los Angeles, it's pretty amazing to be downtown Raleigh and see these parks. If this were Los Angeles and you had these parks, they would pretty much look like Man Festival inside the city, like permanently. Pretty gross. It's that place. This one shows an HOA of 625, but it's a pretty nice building. The condo itself it's not huge. It's a brand new listing, but 425, but the HOA is big. But check this out. These views are pretty cool. Start from the beginning. This is the lobby. I don't even know what this is. Floor. What does it say about it? Here's your chance to live on the 29th floor of the PNC Plaza condos. That's pretty cool. Clubhouse, fitness center. I mean, it's walking distance, and I'll show you in a second. Is it the unit or that is cool? Nice rooftop. Nice. And that one is right here. Warehouse district, college right there. That museum of art I was talking about. It's pretty cool. There's like an outdoor installation park where people hang out there and just picnic and just hang out. There's things you can sit on. There's vendors usually selling food and snacks and things. This is a great area. It's just right in the middle of everything. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at some numbers now. Now we're going to nerd out and look at some actual rent versus buy numbers. Now, I'm not going to get into the specifics in this video, but really this is showing that rent that we talked about, plus I used that second home, that $270,000 property with 5% down, just to show what it looks like. Now this assumes, because that's what this thing's built to show, like holding the property for a certain amount of time and selling it, what you get. So what it pretty much bottom line is, when you factor in, even though your monthly may be a little bit higher, and when I say higher, I'm also including a good amount of money each month set aside for repairs, upgrades, things like that to the property. That for what it is, actual monthly payment on the property is the same as the rent, but the difference would be that the repairs and maintenance, things like that. Not to say you wouldn't have something similar for a condo, but even when you factor in that I put $500 a month after 5 years, when you factor the amortization, which is what you get by paying down your loan, plus the appreciation, and I only use 5% appreciation, and I only use 5% for the rent increase, even though we've been appreciating a little bit more and the rent has been going up a lot more. I'm just being a little conservative, and you're still up, if you sold, $52,000 over that 5-year span. And if you didn't sell, you would have that plus 20, you would have like over $70,000 of built-in value that you wouldn't have had otherwise. So that's pretty cool, just seeing the numbers like that. And lastly, I'm going to compare monthly payments on some of the sales. Now the system only lets you compare 3 properties, so I just compared that 199, the one that's below the rent, the property that was 270, which was the same as the rent, and then lastly that expensive condo with the big HOA. So you can see the difference. Now, even that condo, that is kind of pricey for a 2-bedroom if you look at a lot of places in the country, but relatively speaking, depending on where you come from, that could be possibly the same or cheaper from where you were. But just so you can see the differences, that 199 home, and these are all 5% down, we got about $1,100 and change a month. That 270 property in Garner was about $1,500, and then that condo is $2,800 a month. And these charts are going to show a lot more details, things like that, things we're not in this video. But the bottom line is, it's cheaper to rent versus buy. Well, it depends. If you're to buy a house and sell it the next day, yeah, you're wasting money. You're throwing away closing costs and not getting any appreciation in that short period of time. But you can see here, just a relatively short period of time, 5 years, you're up $70,000. And if I were to just change this to, where's that area? When would you sell? Oh yeah, okay. Let's see. 3 years? 3 years, you're still up. 2 years? 2 years, you're still up. If you don't, you have that 17 grand back. Plus this, you're up about $21,000 after just 2 years. In 1 year, yes, if you were to buy it and sell it in a year, you'd definitely lose money. If you didn't sell it, you'd have that 17 back, so you'd only be up like 7 grand for the first year. Worth it? I don't know. I don't think you should buy a house if you're going to sell it right away. But short term, 5 years, let's say, and you're up quite a bit. So hopefully this helps give people an overview of Raleigh, give an overview of some of the different properties, prices, and really what it looks like to actually buy it versus compare it against a renting, and see how that fits into your goals and your lifestyle.